Back to the NFL, where the top 3 MVP favorites are all in action tonight when Baltimore takes on San Francisco. Brock Purdy is the odds-on favorite as of now, followed by former unanimous MVP Lamar Jackson and all-world running back Christian McCaffrey. Huge one tonight on Monday Night Football, so let's get right to it. Shannon, will this game decide who wins the NFL MVP award?
I hate to say yes, because if you look at Brock Purdy's numbers, RC and Stephen A., Lamar Jackson's really not close. Brock Purdy has 31 total touchdowns with 9 turnovers. Lamar Jackson has 22 total touchdowns with 13 turnovers. So, I mean, I'm trying to figure out when you look at the numbers, and I understand, and he's number 1 in QBR, second in passing yards, number 1 in passing touchdowns. So I don't really get it. I think this year we really have a chance for a running back. And this might be the best chance, and it might be the last chance, RC, that we see a running back win the MVP in the modern time. Because of the way the game has been opened up for the quarterback and the wide receivers, normally a quarterback's going to win the award. But I think there's an outside chance that Christian McCaffrey wins it, but I'm still going to say Brock Purdy. It's Brock Purdy's to lose. Go ahead,
RC. So I say yes, and I say it decides who wins it between Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy. I believe the San Francisco 49er that plays the best tonight gets, to me, to be in the lead or the lead candidate for the MVP. When you look at what Christian McCaffrey has done, it's been absolutely phenomenal in the fact that he affects the game in every single facet of offensive play. He runs the football, he catches the football, he pass protects. He's a guy that blocks downfield for wide receivers when they catch the ball. And he's also the most integral chess piece to the most diverse offense in football today. And then when you look at the other side, at the Brock Purdy's, and how he's executed within this offense, he's shown you that he's not just a game manager. He's the best that Kyle Shanahan's ever had. He's much like Matt Ryan was when Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, who, by the way, also won the MVP. I believe that Lamar Jackson's a long shot. And wasn't elite. I believe that Lamar Jackson is a long shot because in the end, they're going to look at his numbers from this year and compare them to his MVP numbers. When you're the Lamar Jacksons of the world, when you're the Patrick Mahomes of the world, sometimes you're fighting against yourself. And I don't believe that Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey have to do that. And by the way, they're having the best seasons of their career.
I agree with y'all, but I'm going to hold out hope for Lamar Jackson in this respect. I don't think it's going to happen. Let me preface it by saying that. But what if the Baltimore Ravens were to blow out San Francisco? What if Lamar Jackson puts on the show? What if he does so without this cat Keaton Mitchell available to him, who's probably going to be out for the season? Knowing the load that he has to carry, knowing they're 11-3, seeing all the hoopla coming into the game and how they feel disrespected because they're such a considerable underdog in this game. I'm looking at all of those elements. I'm looking at what we're seeing from San Francisco, 6-game winning streak, averaging 34.5 points, winning by 12 or more points in each of those games. If Lamar Jackson shows up on national television on Christmas Day and shows out in a way that far usurps the performance of a Brock Purdy and a Christian McCaffrey, I think all of a sudden that could create some interest over the last 3 weeks of the season.
He will need to have one of those games. RC, you remember that Monday night game he had against the Rams where he had 5 touchdowns and he dazzled with his legs and his arms? He would have one of those games, Stephen A., where all bets are off because it's very seldom that we can see a quarterback that can do so many things with his legs and his arm. Now, if he were to have one of those type of games, and like you said, the 49ers lose in convincing fashion, okay, maybe. But I don't see them blowing out the San Francisco 49ers.
Neither do I. None of us do.
Yeah, like that's the hard part. But we also have to think about this. Lamar Jackson gets an opportunity against the Miami Dolphins as well next week. And so if he has one of those great games against the San Francisco 49ers, which we know is very difficult to do, and then you backdoor that by solidifying and clinching the conference and beating the Miami Dolphins playing at a high level, I believe then we get to talk about Lamar Jackson in that. And I think this begs like a bigger question. What is the MVP exactly? And how do we give it out? Because what I believe is no one is asked to do what Lamar Jackson has to do
I agree.
for the Baltimore Ravens to be successful. But even in what you're asked to do, you have to do that at a higher level than other people are being asked to on their team. And for what Brock Purdy is asked to do, he's executing at a level like we've never seen a San Francisco 49er quarterback execute under Kyle Shanahan.
Well, the question that I throw to both of y'all, and I'll start off with you first, Shannon. I mean, what about the notion that you're basically dividing, you're going to compromise the vote because CMC and Brock Purdy are both playing exceptionally well. They're both MVP candidates, and they may cancel out each other, thereby opening the floodgates for Lamar Jackson to ultimately have a shot at winning it.
I agree with what you just said, but I think it's more likely, RC, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's more likely that C-Max wins Offensive Player of the Year and Purdy wins MVP as opposed to Christian McCaffrey taking sweepstakes and winning them both. Because if you give Christian McCaffrey the MVP, how do you then in turn turn around and give Brock Purdy the Offensive Player of the Year?
Gotcha.
Because we've seen that happen before. We've seen a quarterback win MVP, and then another player, I think Justin Jefferson, 1 year won the Offensive Player of the Year. And so we've seen that happen. And so the likelihood of the quarterback losing the MVP and winning Offensive Player of the Year, I just don't think that happened. I think it's the other way around.
Like, honestly though, Shay, like you said it, like if not this year, let's just rename the award the Best Quarterback Award. Right?
Yeah.
If it's not going to be a year where the Patrick Mahomes hasn't broken records or Lamar Jackson isn't doing things that we've never seen a quarterback do, and you have a guy like a Christian McCaffrey that's already scored 20 touchdowns that affects the game in so many different ways, then no running back's ever going to win it again. Or it's going to take the Adrian Peterson 2,000-yard year. And so I believe that this game tells us which one of these players from San Francisco takes the lead. I think if Christian McCaffrey comes into this game against somebody like a Roquan Smith, a Patrick Queen on the other side, a Kyle Hamilton, and has one of those transcendent games from the position where he dominates in the run, he dominates in the receiving game, I think he does move into that spot.
I agree
think
with
teams or voters will see him that way. But it's more likely, and it's unfortunate, that Brock Purdy has a game where he doesn't turn it over. Brock Purdy has a game where the San Francisco 49ers win, and the voters go to or revert to what they always do, which is say, this is the best quarterback or this is the very good quarterback on the best team. He must be the MVP.
And with great numbers. I took the 49ers because I think they're playing I think they're the best team. The Ravens are the second best team, but I think they just have a gear. When I look at them and I watch them play and you look at them, they just have a gear. And when they get on people, they don't get off. They just go. I mean, 42s and the way they beat the Cowboys and the way they beat the Eagles and the way they beat the Seahawks and the way they beat teams, it's just, I'm going with them.
RC, who you got winning?
Yeah, I'm going to say this. I picked the San Francisco 49ers, but this is what I'll say. They struggle against the run, and this team can run the football. And everybody struggles against a quarterback that can move like Lamar Jackson.
That's right.
If Lamar Jackson understands that his legs are the most vital weapon in this game, I think this game could be close. It could be very interesting. And then it's going to come down to who executes in critical football moments.
I'm going to tell y'all where I'm interested in before I go to break. I want to see Lamar Jackson trying to run the football exceptionally well and wreaking havoc in that regard. Because if the San Francisco 49ers can contain him in the pocket and find a way to neutralize Lamar Jackson, then as far as I'm concerned, all the interest goes out of the rest of the NFL season. Because if they stop Lamar Jackson doing that, there's nothing to talk about in terms of who's going to win it all. We're just waiting for the coronation of the San Francisco 49ers. Again, I applaud both of you. You were succinct to the point. You listen, and now we go to break on time again.
I'm not sure. Hey, I'm not sure if you missed what's changed. What's changed is you don't get to give your soliloquies because you're hosting, and that's why we on time.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm not going with that now. I'm not going with that now. Coming up after yesterday's show, Amari Cooper.
Xin chào tất cả các bạn quay trở lại kênh YouTube của mình. Trên tay mình đây là cái sọt xác. Để đưa sản phẩm này chúng ta cần chuẩn bị giấy thủ công, bút dạng, kéo cắt và hồ sạn. Bây giờ chúng ta bắt đầu nào.
Bây giờ mình sẽ vẽ cái sọt xác. Đầu tiên mình sẽ lấy bút dạng mình vẽ. sẽ lấy kéo mình cắt. Là mình sẽ lấy bút chì và viết lại. Là mình sẽ lấy bút dạ mình vẽ. Là mình sẽ lấy kéo mình cắt. Là mình sẽ lấy hò mình dán. Mình đã dán xong, bây giờ mình sẽ ghi tên. Nếu các bạn thấy hay thì hãy cho mình xin một like và đăng ký kênh. Cảm ơn tất cả các bạn rất là nhiều.